The role of the father in today's day and age has purely become a person who earns money. He goes out in the morning, he comes back in the evening, he requests his wife for food, he catches up on what he wanted to watch for telly for the day, and he goes to sleep. I teach kids. Wallahi, I have kids telling me I haven't seen my dad in 1 week. He wakes up, he goes to work, he comes back home, he eats, he goes straight to sleep. Not one kid, so many kids tell me I haven't seen my dad in a week, I haven't seen my dad in 3 days, I haven't seen my dad in 5 days. Who's raising your children? The Prophet says, Ar-Rajul, the man is the custodian on his family. The man. The Prophet says, Ar-Rajul in Ar-Rajul in Arabic means man. He said the man is the custodian, he is responsible for his family. If your child has not seen you in 5 days, where are you? Your child does not need his house to be extended. He does not need you to build him a massive house in Pakistan. Your child needs tarbiyah. He needs time. You will be responsible for your tarbiyah, your wife will be responsible for her tarbiyah. You can't say to Allah on the Day of Judgment, Ya Allah, I had her at home. I used to go and I had her at home. It was her job, innit? Allah will say no. You both came together and brought them on this dunya. Both came together and brought them on this dunya. You both made a conscious decision to bring life onto this earth. So how did you wash your hands away from it after that? Even the government gives people money. People whose dads and mothers died, doesn't the government in this country give them money? Don't the government give them a roof over their head? Children or orphans who go through the foster system, don't they get a roof over their head? Don't they get food? Don't they get sent to school? One of my friends, he grew up in the system. He got food every day. He got roof over his head. He got people that drove him around to places. Even the government will do that. But is that how a Muslim father should be? Is that how a Muslim man should run his household? That his only role is to earn money and give orders? This is not the way of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then when the child grows up, the parents complain that he doesn't listen to me. Why is he going to listen to you? What tarbiyah did you give him? What did you teach him? How many times in a week do you actually sit down and say to your sons or daughters that what did you learn in school today? Do you even know what they're teaching your children in school? Do you even know the changes they're making in the syllabuses? Wallahi, they'll shock you. The things that they're trying to teach our children today in schools as the youngest age of 4. Do we know what is being fed to our children on a daily basis? Or is our job just to provide money and make sure they eat? That's it. Is that the responsibility Allah put on them? Is providing money only, making sure your kid has food to eat, making sure the bills are paid, is that going to save your kid from Jahannam? Is that going to save your family from Jahannam? Is that going to raise salih, pious children? Even the kuffar do that for their children. Even the kuffar don't have children and leave them out on the street. Even the kuffar go out to work and they feed their children, they clothe them, they send them to schools. But what do we have? We have uswatun hasana. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, indeed we have given you the best of examples. Who? In the life of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Do you teach your children about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Do you teach your daughters about Sayyidah Fatimah al-Zahra radiyallahu ta'ala anha? Do you even know where your children are during the day? I'm from the younger generation. I'm telling you right now, illa masha'Allah, this generation is not full of malaika, it's not full of angels. I'm from this generation. We are not full of angels. Your children are not as perfect as you think they are. Wallahi, I know of cases. I know of severe cases. There is young girls. There are young sisters of mine who attend college, sixth form college, and they're catching trains with boys from this community and they're going to London. This is happening. This is happening. I know, I'm 23. I know what happens in this town. People tell me what happens in this town. Young girls at sixth form college are catching trains with boys and spending the entire day in London. And their fathers have no idea. Their mothers have no idea. Do you ring to check up on your children? Where are you? How are you? What's going on? You leave them at the doors of establishments. Is that all that children have become? Leaving them at doors. You leave them at the door of the masjid. You leave them at the door of nurseries. You leave them at the door of schools. You leave them at the doors of universities. When are you going to leave them at the door of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When are you going to leave them at the door of Allah? When? 23 years go by, 21 years in the system, all they've seen you do is leave them at doors. When are you going to make yourself a real part of their lives? When are you going to begin to have a real concern for them? You have to do this because the generations are slipping away. Why do we have a generation full of drug dealers? Why do we have a generation full of women running away from homes? Since I've come back from Hajj this year, I've spoken to 3 Muslims from this community. I was with a brother from this community who lives in Luton. He's a kafir now. He's a murtad. His family doesn't even know. 3 since I've come back from Hajj. That's like 2.5, 3 months. 3 people from this community who are no longer Muslims because they've gone to university and heard all sorts. Why is this happening? You guys lived in a different time. You guys had simplicity in your lives. Pakistan was a very simple place. It was a beautiful place. You know, simplicity. You know, people call it narrow-mindedness. Sometimes narrow-mindedness is good. Because the elder generation, no matter what, mashallah, you guys won't leave the way that you've been taught. No matter what. And that's beautiful with the elder generation. That they will not leave, they won't go this way or that, because they've only been taught one way. And they've been taught the best way, the way of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But your kids are not the same. They've been taught many, many different ways. You can't have the same mentality. They're growing up in a different environment from you guys. You can't have the same mentality that, oh, we've been taught the right way, we're sending to the mosque the way we went to the mosque, that's fine. You never had a phone at the age of 9. You never had access to the internet at the age of 9. You never had a world of desires open up to you at the age of 10, 11 and 12. It's a completely different time that we're living in. The needs of the children are completely different. And people have no idea. You will lose your children. You will lose your children if you do not start spending time on them. If you do not start teaching them about the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The Prophet alayhi salam said in a hadith that every single one of you, the misal of you is, you are like a herdsman. And every one of you has his own flock of sheep. And you will be accountable with Allah for your flock. It's your job to take care of your children. To give them tarbiyah. To raise them properly. Don't leave it to the hands of the West. They'll wipe your child's iman away from you. Like this. I know, ask me. How a Muslim, this guy was a Muslim, you know, he said to me, he goes, I would rather learn my own morals. I'd rather have my own morals than the morals from a man of 6th century Arabia who was illiterate. He was talking about the Messenger alayhi salam like that. How does a child who's raised in a Muslim household for 22 years have the himmah to say those words? Because the love of the Prophet was not instilled in that child. He did not know who the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was. He did not know who this man was alayhi salatu wa taslim. He had no connection. Because in our households there is no connection. There is no connection. There's no examples being set. You know, a child, when he's between the age of 0 and 7, it's called a state of tifl. Its existence is based on taking from another. A child is like that. A child will take from you, not from your words, from your actions. Not from your words, from your actions. If you want your child to speak good words, then why do we swear? In our own language, the most heinous of swears, people with the biggest of beards will say the most disgusting swear words when translated, like Numan. And then you want your kids to speak clean. Our mothers and our aunties will sit for 3 hours non-stop backbiting people. And no one will stop them. The men in our community have become like women. They sit and backbite as well nowadays. They gossip like women do. Your children are watching this. They're watching all of this. Words don't mean nothing to children. Words don't mean anything. Actions mean everything to children. How does a child learn? How does a baby begin holding a bottle? Do you ever think of that? Can you explain to a baby who's 6 months old hold a bottle? Can you explain it to him verbally? You can't, it's impossible. How does he do it? You keep putting it in his hands and keep pushing his hands together. He drops it. You put it in his hands again and push his hands together again. You show him. And then a baby at the age of 6 months begins to hold a bottle. Did he understand what you said to him? No. How did he learn to hold a bottle? Because you continuously placed it in his hands. And then the baby grasped onto the bottle and realized, this is something I need to hold on to. This is what you need to do with salah with your children. This is what you need to do with Quran with your children. You need to give them examples. You need to be involved actively in the lives of your children. Because the houses you will build for them, the furnishings you will provide in your households, your renovations, none of this will help you in the akhirah. Everyone's looking for good investments. Everyone looks to get the most out of their time. If you could work 5 hours a day and earn £200, who would work 10 hours a day and earn £200? Nobody. Allah has given you a gold mine when He gave you children. Al-mal wal-banu zinatul hayati dunya. Children and wealth are the beauty of this world. Children are your best investment. They are your best investment, not for this dunya, for the akhirah. Invest in them. Put your investment in them now, and you'll reap the rewards of it in your old age, and you'll reap the rewards of it in your grave. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that only 3 things will benefit a man after he has passed away: an ongoing sadaqah, some knowledge he has left behind, and the last thing, a pious child who will make dua for him. A pious child will make dua for him. Think that today, if in my existence, while I'm alive in this dunya, my son is not praying salah, my daughter is not covering, they don't read Quran, they don't dua, when you die, what dua are they going to make? If you're alive and they're not making dua for you, if you're alive and they're not praying salah, when you die, what's going to change?